Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 309, or if you're a Mind Mastery member, 341. I am so excited today because in this episode, I'm going to share with you how to get what you want by using what you have. You see, when we're thinking about all the things that we want, we're really operating from scarcity and a lack of, right? Why? Because we don't have it in our life. So, of course, if you want more money, the nature of wanting more money, say if you wanted to add another $5,000 to your monthly income, but because you haven't got it, despite wanting it, there has to be the energy of lack, right? So that makes total sense. If you haven't got it, you lack it. So therefore, there's a feeling of lack. There's a feeling of potentially doubt. There's a feeling of scarcity. And that is never going to help you get what you want, right? Because we know that we have to really get our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors in an absolute abundance mindset, whether that be for something in your health, if you want to drop the weight, if you want to tone up, if you want to get some healing going, if you want to change your relationship, get a relationship, improve a relationship, if you want to get that promotion in your career, a new job, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If you have a need for something or a desire for something, even if it is something far more specific, like you want to be confident or you want to be free from anxiety, the very nature of the need and the desire will equal out with a balance of lack of or scarcity because you do not have it in your life. So that means the nature of wanting something is causing you to almost repel what you want. Because the fear of not having it, the doubt of not having it, or if it's going to come into fruition or whatever it is, unless you've got your mindset in a completely in the zone abundance, then you are automatically implying a lack of by desiring something, right? Hopefully that makes sense. It makes total sense to me. The nature of desiring something must mean that you're lacking it, so therefore there is an energy of lack or a thought of lack or scarcity in feeling or even in your behavior. So how on earth can we begin to get what we want without the scarcity and doubt? Well, it's actually pretty easy. I mean, this might not be easy. I mean, there might be like some internal battles of like trying to get this in your system. I get that. And that is, for my mastery members, I've got a Create Your Day version for this in the extension to this episode, which will build in the solution for this. But if I were to give you some applicable steps and ideas that will allow you to remove the scarcity, remove that doubt, I think that'll be of incredible interest to you, right? I like to be able to provide you with tips, ideas, and things that you can instantly apply to be able to remove this fear or potential scarcity, this doubt, this worry, even if it's the thoughts of I will never change, or the feelings I'm never going to make it, or I'm not worthy and good enough, implies that scarcity and that lack of. And there's no way we're going to be able to get, or there is a way, of course, there's always a way that sometimes it can drive us on because we're so much in scarcity and so much doubt, but it's not the healthiest way of doing it. It's not the most comfortable way to be able to get what you want when you're propelled by a deep fear or a deep scarcity or a deep doubt. Like I said, it can because it makes you move, but usually people live in this no man's land of I want it, but it's not scary enough, or I'm not in scarcity enough or fearing enough to make the change. That is probably one of the biggest issues, by the way. I might as well just kind of sidestep on this one because many people will never change because usually the problem's not bad enough. So when the problem is really, really bad enough, you're willing to do whatever it takes. You're willing to invest all the money that you have. You're willing to invest all the time that you have. You're willing to invest cutting out people of your life if it depends on the situation. You're willing to like turn off the TV. You're willing to delete Facebook. You're willing to do all these things if it were to be so much of a need for you to change. Like, you would save up every bit of money. You wouldn't be going out to eat. You wouldn't be buying your Costa coffees and all those kind of things, because you'd be like, or Starbucks or any other thing. I'm not endorsing any. I don't drink tea or coffee for a start, so I'm not really the best endorsement for commercial companies in the tea and coffee field. But you'd be willing to cut out the things, potentially people, habits. You'll be willing to invest as much money as possible, as much time in it, if you really wanted to change, right? If you really wanted to achieve something, you would hustle down. So like, for example, one of my Mind Mastery members is super passionate about going for one of their dreams. So they're waking up at 4 o'clock every morning and they're going to work, and then they got evening school, and then they got their normal job, and then they got children, and they've also got Mind Mastery. Now that is someone who is willing, who's stepped up and willing to do whatever it takes, and I can guarantee she will be a 100% success. I'm trying to build in a little bit of time for self. Of course, that's why she's in Mind Mastery as well, to get the inner edge to speed things up. But that's someone who's going to make it, because they are willing to do whatever it takes, which I love, the audacity to do something like that. Many people do not. They live in this kind of no man's land, or well, it's an issue, but it's not a big enough issue. I really want more money, but you know what? I don't really want to put a lot of time into it. I don't want to invest even money to make money, okay? So that, hopefully that makes sense. But when you have to do it, when there's an absolute need and must, that fear, that scarcity, that lack of can be successful in getting you to where you want to be, because it's just such a driving force. Another quick example, if someone got an illness or a disease of some sort, they would be willing probably to try every treatment out there, research, and be able to like do whatever it takes, get on a healthy regime, or whether it be like in your food and your exercise and making sure you're in a happy state. They'll be willing to do whatever it takes because life is on the lam. But I don't necessarily want you to be propelled by fear or by scarcity or the lack of. It works, but it's just not that fun, right? So how can you remove, or even just a little bit dissolve, some of that scarcity, so you do not self-sabotage, you do not get that frustration and that lack? Because at the end of the day, if you crave something enough, but it's not in your life, then that means you will be operating from some scarcity and some lack of in your life, which is never good to be able to achieve your goals. It's not very comfortable, and you will feel sometimes like a failure. You'll feel as if it's a struggle. So what if we could propose a new paradigm? Now, this new paradigm would be one where you actually enjoy the journey, have absolute immense, great feelings, despite not having what you want. Say, what, Joseph? What do you want about here? That sounds crazy cool. Well, that is what I want to be able to get through today, because that lack of, I just can't bear it. So what I do is I instantly change it to get absolutely openness to the thing that I want, and to really get everything I want in a comfortable way. So I've been talking about this in Mind Mastery. As I said, I like to let you in on this. I've done like a mini masterclass on this. But there's a few things that you can do. So I want you to realize, if you want something, you have to tap into the frequency of what you want as if you had it already. Now, this is not the whole, fake it till you make it. Although technically that does work if you are very good at hallucinating things, where you get the unconscious mind to go there in the mind and body, because it's biologically wired that way. Like, it can't really decipher what is imagined and what is real. So if you hallucinate enough, but it's very hard and it's not that great. But ultimately, you need to be able to do it as much as you can. So I'll repeat again. So number one, you want to be able to know that you've got to match the feelings of what you want. I always say, whatever you want wants you back. Now, if you are radiating that scarcity, guess what? That scarcity wants you. It's going to hunt you down. If you want to not have a bad relationship, your chances are bad relationships are going to hunt you down because you're focusing on the energy, the thought, the association of bad relationships. So whatever you're thinking most of the time, your brain is looking for more similar things. So if you're focusing on what you don't want, like the scarcity, you are actually tapping into scarcity or doubt or fear or all those things, right? So you've got to get yourself in a state of, okay, and Neville Goddard, I know I've quoted this many, many times, but Neville Goddard wrote an amazing book called, I always forget the name, I think it's called Awareness, and it was like in the 1950s or 60s or something like that. And he said, you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and act upon it with conviction. And then he goes on to something like, then you'll be aligned with your desires to make it happen. So what does that mean? You assume the feeling of having achieved your goal, and then you act upon it with conviction. You see, the more you get out of that scarcity and you go through the eyes and the feelings of what you want, it will then, on the mind and body level, be interlinked with what you want. You are radiating, you're thinking, you're feeling what exactly it is what you want, and you're just assuming the feeling as if you've fulfilled it, as if you've achieved it already, which means it almost tricks your unconscious mind to let go and bypass the scarcity. So that is one aspect to it, to assume the feeling of having achieved your goal, because whatever you want wants you. The other aspect, to go from a different angle, would be to get into the feelings of what you have already. You see, what you have already, you cannot experience scarcity of. Why? Because you have it already. That's the problem with going for goals. You haven't got it, so you get scarcity. But if you've got something that you have in your life which you love, that you know, and it makes you feel so good, then I suggest thinking about that more often. And that is why the attitude of gratitude is so powerful, because you are in that state of gratitude for what you have. So therefore, you're removing that scarcity, you're removing that doubt, you're removing all those fears and self-sabotage mechanisms, because you are just putting your attention, your thoughts, your feelings onto what you have already. Which means you're tapping into that energy. You're tapping into and radiating that feeling of receiving and having, which completely removes that fear and doubt. So that is the other level. So we've got one, we assume the feeling of having achieved the goal, which removes and dispels any of the doubt, while simultaneously tapping into that same frequency of what you want. So therefore you are totally aligned with it and you're taking inspired action on it. And then the other aspect, and you can combine these by the way, is to really tap into the feelings that you have already, the things that you have already, which will cause you to feel good. And if you're feeling good, I mean, I like my mission to be in life is just to feel good as much as possible, because I know if I'm feeling as good as I possibly can, like that is my whole mission throughout today, is just to have that feeling of bliss or that feeling of happiness or freedom or confidence, that self-worth. If I tap into that feeling and I experience it as much as possible, guess what? My brain is going to look for everything which is similar to bliss. Everything which is similar to wholeness and oneness and beingness and happiness and all those things. So I really want you to consider that, like that should be your whole goal, because therefore you are projecting that out into the world. And you're doing it in your thoughts, your feelings, and behaviors. If you believe in the wonderful woo-la-la stuff, you are then sending out the right frequency to attract what you want in your life. Now, like I said, this is biology as well, because the reticular activating system, if you think of like buying a new car, you begin to see that make and model everywhere. Or if you learn a new word, it just pops up into your world despite having never seen it before. It's simply because you are deleting it because it wasn't of value to you. And if you're deleting it because it's not of value to you, think of all the things you are deleting by operating from that fear and scarcity and lack of. You're not going to be getting any of the things that you want, right? Because you're just on a mental level, on an unconscious level, you're deleting, distorting, and generalizing based on that scarcity. So, if you begin to operate from that 1, assume the feeling of having achieved the goal and act upon it with conviction, to be aligned, or to have that absolute gratitude, number 2, of all the things that you have, being so grateful and blissful of all the things that you have, you are then totally aligned at an unconscious level to seek out all the things in alignment with that. As number 3, if you just operate from that level of bliss, that wonderful feeling of beingness and oneness in the world and in yourself, once again, you are tapping into that frequency. Now, it can take time to do this. Sometimes the limiting beliefs are completely interlocked, and I've said on the last episode, you can go to josephclough.info/session. So that's josephclough.info/session to be able to get to the core of your issue, so you no longer have to work on the symptoms anymore, because that's the biggest lie in the self-development. And it's counterintuitive, but you got to get to the core to let go of all the symptoms. But you just work on symptoms because they're the things that show up in your life. So that's where it feels a little bit counterintuitive, but you got to get to the hidden unconscious cause, which I've got that free session, coaching session for you there. josephclough.info/what was it? Oh, I forgot. I think it's session, did I say? I hope so. You can either go to josephclough.info/session or /power. I know that those two probably work. But that will help with that. But the whole goal is to assume the feeling of having achieved your goal and act upon it, to tap into what you're grateful for, because if you focus on that, you're then looking for more things you can be grateful for, which means you cannot have scarcity because you just focus on what you have. There's no scarcity in what you have already. And then finally, the last one, when you are just operating, forgetting about the outcome. I forgot to mention that, forgetting about the goal itself for the time being. So if you want more money, say $10,000 extra a month, or $5,000, or fill in the gap, or if you want a new relationship, forget about it for the time being, and just focus on being so blissful, so absolutely falling down happy, you will then naturally attract everything which is in alignment with that. Now, if $10,000 extra a month will make you more blissful, then that is more likely to come into your life. Sometimes the nature of just saying I want $10,000 is very limiting. Why not have more than that if you really crave that enough, if that's one of your goals? If you want a relationship and you're just saying I just want a trusting man for once, or a trusting woman for once, then you might just get a trusting man or woman, but they might be like really crazy unhealthy. But if you just operate from that bliss and that happiness and radiating, you are going to attract someone in the exact same form of that bliss to your life, because they're going to be attracted to you. But the problem is, if we're operating from that scarcity, that doubt, we're going to be attracting those people, those things, those situations more so because our brain is looking out for it. So that is the recap for today. I hope you enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed it because I know it works every time. And remember, after the break, for Mind Mastery members, you will be getting the Create Your Day of this episode, where you will instantly be able to feel and carry through your whole day the feelings of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, as well as the actions on top of it, including the feelings of gratitude to get your unconscious mind locked right in there, and also including feeling as blissful as you can. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. For everyone else, I will look forward to speaking to you in a future episode. And after the break, once again, we'll get straight into the Create Your Day version of this episode. I will look forward to speaking to you soon. Many thanks. Have a wonderful day.